What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for NBA Thursday, November 18th. These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's NBA slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, we have a 6-game slate tonight, so let's take a look at the point guard position. So I was liking Patrick Beverley because he's only $4,200 DraftKings salary, and he's projected at 25.9 fantasy points here tonight. That's 6.2 times value, but it is a back-to-back, and he scored 39 fantasy points in 34 minutes last game. Now, I looked at his last back-to-back. He played 24 and then 24 minutes, so it's possible they scale his minutes back a little bit here. I think he's still a pretty decent play because he's only $4,200 DraftKings salary, 500 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 222 points scored in this game, and the San Antonio Spurs give up the 5th most fantasy points to opposing point guards. So I think he's still a pretty good play, but I'm going to be a little cautious with him because of the back-to-back. So I decided to go back to the well. We've been picking this guy throughout the season, and he's been playing really well, and his price tag is just now starting to rise a little bit, but it's not out of control yet. So I like Eric Bledsoe from the LA Clippers playing the Memphis Grizzlies, who have the 2nd worst defense overall. They give up the 8th most fantasy points to opposing point guards, and Eric Bledsoe has averaged 26.3 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 29 minutes per game with a 21% usage rate. He's projected at 28.1 fantasy points here tonight. That's 4.9 times value. He's $5,800 DraftKings salary, 100 less on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 220.5 points scored in this game. And Eric Bledsoe has scored 23, 32, and 40 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 30, 35, and 25 minutes. So I like Eric Bledsoe here versus the Memphis Grizzlies. Now I also like Derek White. He's from the San Antonio Spurs, and he's only $5,300 DraftKings salary. He's projected at 26 fantasy points here tonight. That's 4.9 times value. He scored 28 fantasy points last game, played 31 minutes. So I think he's in an interesting spot here versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching. If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal, all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won. And we'll send you $25 PayPal. So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you. Okay, let's take a look at the shooting guard position. Another guy we've been picking quite a bit throughout the season, and his salary also is just starting to rise, but it's still pretty reasonable here, under $6K. Well, this is a DraftKings play because he is priced way up on FanDuel, but I like Gary Trent Jr. from the Toronto Raptors playing the Utah Jazz, who have a good defense overall. They've been good versus opposing shooting guards, but Gary Trent Jr. has averaged 29.3 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 34 minutes per game with a 20% usage rate. He's projected at 30.4 fantasy points here tonight, and that's 5.1 times value. He's $5,900 DraftKings salary. He's $1,100 more on FanDuel, so I prefer that DraftKings price. And Gary Trent Jr. has scored 32, 38, and 37 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 39, 38, and 36 minutes. So I like this pick because he's playing monster minutes, he's been productive, his salary on DraftKings is still pretty low. Vegas thinks there's going to be 213.5 points scored in this game. So I like Gary Trent Jr. here versus the Utah Jazz. So a value play that I like here at the shooting guard position is Desmond Bane from the Memphis Grizzlies playing the LA Clippers, who have a good defense overall. They've been middle of the pack defending opposing shooting guards. Desmond Bane has averaged 24.5 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 29 minutes per game with a 21% usage rate. He's projected at 24.3 fantasy points here tonight, and that's 5.5 times value. He's 4,400 DraftKings salary, 200 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 220.5 points scored in this game, and Desmond Bane has scored 24, 20, and 25 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 24, 31, and 23 minutes. So I like Desmond Bane as a value play here versus the LA Clippers. Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups. Okay, let's take a look at the small forward position. I like Bojan Bogdanovic from the Utah Jazz playing the Toronto Raptors, who have a good defense overall. They give up the 9th most fantasy points to opposing small forwards. Bojan Bogdanovic has averaged 26.7 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 30 minutes per game with a 23% usage rate. Now he's projected at 26.4 fantasy points here tonight. That's 4.6 times value. He's 5,700 DraftKings salary, same price on FanDuel. But the reason I think this pick is interesting is because Bojan Bogdanovic has scored 40 and 40 fantasy points the last 2 games, playing 27 and 28 minutes. Now, he only scored 10 fantasy points the game before that in 31 minutes, so it's kind of a high risk, high reward play. But if he can get you 30 fantasy points here, I think that would be right around or over 5 times value. So I like Bojan Bogdanovic here versus the Toronto Raptors. Okay, let's take a look at the power forward position. So Stephen Curry, he's questionable. So I think there's going to be an increased usage rate for some of the other Golden State studs. So I like Draymond Green from the Golden State Warriors playing the Cleveland Cavaliers, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They give up the 8th most fantasy points to opposing power forwards. Draymond Green has averaged 32 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 30 minutes per game with a 14% usage rate. He's projected at 31.2 fantasy points here tonight. That's 4.7 times value. He's 6,700 DraftKings salary, 300 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 207.5 points scored in this game. And Draymond Green has scored 32, 31, and 32 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 28, 32, and 28 minutes. So I like Draymond Green here versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. Okay, moving on to the center position. I like Rudy Gobert from the Utah Jazz playing the Toronto Raptors, who have a good defense overall. They've been good versus opposing centers, but Rudy Gobert has averaged 41.5 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 31 minutes per game with an 18% usage rate. He's projected at 41.3 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.2 times value. He's $8,000 DraftKings salary, $500 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 213.5 points scored in this game. And Rudy Gobert has scored 47, 37, and 35 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 28, 34, and 30 minutes. So I like Rudy Gobert here versus the Toronto Raptors. If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.